Okay, I'm back, and this is back in the day Fighters and Brawlers, which had to be re-recorded because my last one, the file to do everything to it was lost. Just had to re-record the whole damn thing. So stay tuned while I go into Fighters and Brawlers back in the day, episode 2. Here we go. So here we are. Back in the day, episode 2. Brawlers and Fighters. Now, as in all back in the days, from here on in, from the first, this is the second, probably get to the third sometime soon. We're going to go into, back in the day when Brawlers were great, to what caused their decline, to, some examples of how they could come back. Same thing with Fighters. The reason I'm going to be covering both is because the decline seems to be tied to the same instance. And that is, you have to remember that most of the really good Brawlers and Fighters began as arcade games. And with the fall of the arcades, it kind of makes sense that, we aren't getting as high a quality Brawler or Fighter. Which just kind of sucks because, I'm the type of person, I loved the arcades when I was a kid. I still kind of like them now. We had like a mini arcade down the street from where I used to live when I was a very young kid. Well, not where I used to live. I used to spend the summer with my grandparents, and for like 3 months during the summer, I'd literally get out of school and go down to Florida to visit my grandparents. And down the street from us was a black-owned barbershop, and next to the black-owned barbershop was a mini arcade. And this place, now that I'm older, drug deals used to go on in the back. But they also had like 10, 12 arcade machines and like 4 pinball machines. And these were some, they had Street Fighter, Riot, a few light gun games, Marvel vs. Capcom, Donkey Kong, Alphard, Galaga, the goodies, the oldies, Pac-Man, okay, Pac-Man. Some really good high quality games. And, I just enjoyed playing them. And, but arcades went out. And when arcades, especially in America, began to go out, we don't get as many ports of beat-em-ups and brawlers, brawlers, and fighters from arcade to home console. So let's start where it all began oh so long ago. You had 2 seminal games that basically made the brawler, brought the brawler to the home console. First was River City Ransom, aka Kunio-kun, which was basically the Americanized version of Kunio-kun is River City Ransom, which some people loved, other people hated. River City Ransom was a beat-em-up, but it had RPG-like elements. And that was kind of cool. You'd eat certain foods, and that gave you experience, which leveled you up, made your attacks more powerful. You could also buy martial arts books and get martial arts manuals to learn new special attacks. And, you pick up weapons, beat the hell out of people with bike chains, sticks, clubs, pick up garbage cans and smash them on people, Sonny Corleone style. Very, very good stuff. And another game called Double Dragon. Now, the Double Dragon arcade version is much better than Double Dragon home console versions, but we're going to talk about the home console version because that's the one that most people have basically been exposed to. Double Dragon, great game. great game. It basically, I mean, the controls were clunky. It was a little on the clumsy side, and there were a few technological issues with it. But ultimately, these two were the granddaddies of the modern beat-em-up brawler. Okay, going from point A to point B, beating the shit out of everyone in your way. Okay, and these all culminated with, you know, great games like Streets of Rage and the seminal. But Streets of Rage was always second tier compared to the top dog of the beat 'em up genre at the time, Capcom and their friggin' Final Fight. Oh my god, that game, that arcade game was the shit. So let's get started, okay? Final Fight possessed the why the hell not factor in that all good beat 'em up games have. Well, actually, any good game should have the why the hell not factor, but let me describe Final Fight to you. The story of Final Fight is like the ultimate B-cop, B-movie, beat 'em up movie from the 80s that just had people you never saw, never heard of, with like overacting and just like a cheesy ass storyline. Okay, picture this. Okay, Metro City is like New York City and San Francisco had a baby. That would be Metro City. And what is Metro? And who is the current Metro City? Is filled with corruption and crime. And, you know, people just got along to get along. Bribes were paid, you know, everyone's dirty. Except for the new mayor, Mike Hagar. Mike Hagar, you may know that name from another Capcom game called Friday Night Slam Masters. Mike Hagar is not only a former wrestler, he's also a street fighter. Former street fighter, I should say. Former street fighter. But now he's gone into politics. Well, he's just been inaugurated. He's just been sworn in. And he gets a phone call. And from the local gang that has the city on lockdown called Mad Gear, basically telling him how his daughter has been kidnapped, and if he wants her back, he can accept the ransom. Okay, but does Mike Hagar he gets sent a video recording with some asshole named Damned who kidnapped his daughter. Now, does Mike Hagar call SWAT, the cops, FBI, CIA? Hell no. He calls his daughter's boyfriend and his daughter's friend. Her boyfriend is a boxer / knife expert, and his friend, who also is accompanying him to go rescue his girlfriend, is a ninja. A ninja. Okay? And you know, the mayor, who happens to wear suspenders, rips off his shirt, keeps the suspenders, because, you know, he can't be going around suplexing dudes with no suspenders on, holding up your pants, and between the three of them, they proceed to beat the shit out of everybody in their way, while eating magical food that appears from inside of garbage cans and barrels. Hamburgers, roasts, and chicken. And pizza. Can't forget the pizza. Okay. And so basically, you have these characters beating the holy hell out of everyone in their way, culminating, fighting their way from the ghetto, from the slums, to the subway, to the west side, to the Bay Area, to the industrial complex, and finally downtown, where they fight their way to the main bad guy's headquarters, to the top floor, where Cody, Jessica's boyfriend, who happens to be a boxer and a knife expert, beats the shit out of the dude and uppercuts his ass through a plate glass window, where he falls ignominiously to his death, screaming like a little bitch. Of course, Cody later goes to jail, but hell, you know, this is like the best B movie never made in the 80s. And it would have been glorious, too. I mean, you know, this game was the seminal beat 'em up game. You know, it's like the seminal arcade-style beat-em-up game. Now, the ports, the SNES port was inferior. The Genesis port was pretty good. The Sega CD port was excellent. It was almost arcade perfect. And, you know, but then Brawlers started going down when the arcades started to die, especially in America. The only places where arcades are still kind of working are South Korea and Japan, sadly. So that leads me to fighters. Same thing. Okay? Capcom really started it off. Yeah, there were fighting games before Capcom, but the controls were clunky and stupid. Like International Karate. They were just not very well made. But then we got, you know, Fighter Street for the TurboGrafx CD and the Sharp 86. And then we got Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 is the ignition point for the really good fighting game genre. Now, you know, it had great music, great characters, relatively easy control, just a very well made game. The downside is that Capcom milked the hell out of the franchise. And the low point is that there were so many clones of Street Fighter that it just kind of, people got fatigued off the fighting model. Plus, you know, not just was this happening in the home console market, but in the arcade market. Once Street Fighter 2 came out, we had King of Fighters, which is a blatant Street Fighter ripoff. You had the SNK games, which were just clearly a Street Fighter ripoff. And, you know, they say that flattery is the best form of, imitation is the best form of flattery, but this is ridiculous. And then it didn't help that Capcom kept on releasing new versions of the same shit. Okay, there was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Okay, fine and dandy, they added the boss characters as playable characters. So, Balrog, Sagat, Vega, and M. Bison. And I know the names are switched around, but shit, that's what I grew up with. That's what I'm calling. And then they made the new challengers, which was pretty good too. They added even more characters. T-Bird, Fei Long, who is Bruce Lee. It's Bruce Lee, okay? Fei Long is Bruce Lee. DJ and Cammy, okay? Still, a huge roster of characters, but then it just got ridiculous. I mean, we went from Street Fighter 2 to Street Fighter 3. Like, there's like 8 different versions of Street Fighter 3, if you include the arcade and all the various revisions. Then, there's like, they're doing it to Street Fighter 4 now. We're getting like, oh god, we're getting like 3 versions of Street Fighter 4. Like, there was Street Fighter 4, then there's Super Street Fighter 4, then there's, there's Street Fighter 4 3D for the 3DS. That's 1. Then there's Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4. Now there's Ultra Street Fighter 4. That's 3 damn versions of the same damn game. And you know that once Capcom gets enough bank, they're gonna make a version of Street Fighter 4 for PS4 and Xbox One. It's just getting fucking ridiculous, man. Okay. And with the fall of the arcades, it's just it can't sustain it. It's gonna fall on its own weight. So, I mean, you know, fighters were in oversaturation, and you know, the quality has kind of gone down, except with the Street Fighter franchise, the quality has gone down because Capcom doesn't really know what to do with the franchise. Like, it went from being anyone can get into it and play it to now you have to be damn near professional to even play that damn game. Well, but there's hope. There's hope. And stay tuned after the cut to hear about it. Okay then, we're back. Now, how these games can come back. I don't see the arcade ever coming back. Not in the way they were in the 70s and the 80s and even the early 90s. But there is hope. There is hope for the brawler genre. And it's very easy. Basically, there are smaller companies that have created excellent games that fly in the face of Capcom and even SNK. We've got Blaze Blue, Guilty Gear, which are great games. They're great games that anyone can pick up and start playing and pull off some amazing combos, but also have a deeper system for people who want to master stuff. And Skullgirl, stuff like that. We also have some really great, and that's just in the fighters. In the 3D genre of fighters, Tekken is still pretty good. Personally, I was always a Soul Calibur person myself because swords are friggin' awesome. Which Soul Calibur has begun to go down in quality as of late, but what are you gonna do, But we still have Tekken, and I never liked Dead or Alive because it's a realistic breast physics simulator. Or realistic breast simulator. But we also have some games in the brawler genre that are just awesome, okay? We've got games like Yacouba, which just has people, you have characters. You have a dude named Kazuma Kiryu, or Kiryu Kazuma, depending on which version of the game you play. A dude that wanders around a city, completing random missions, running into dudes, beating the shit out of people. It's got finishers. The dude can pick up trash cans and all types of awesome weapons and beat the shit out of people with them. Yakuza is almost arcadey. And it's made by Sega. And people forget that Sega made some good beat-em-ups back in the day, too. Remember that shit, okay? Now, the ultimate point to take back from how these games can come back is that they're going to have to look at what was good back in the day, what made these games so great. It wasn't just the arcade, it was the feel, the visceral feel of the game. It was that you could get in and play it and start to really, enjoy it. They can bring that back. They can bring that back. I hope they can bring it back. Excuse me. Okay, so that leads me to the end of my video of back in the day. Enough said. You guys have a good day.